This is Sigma's booth in Photokina, and we had the privilege of talking to the CEO of the company at the show. Photokina 2018 coverage is brought to you by Manfrotto. Imagine more. We are here at the Photokina 2018 and we're speaking to Mr. Kazuto Yamaki, the CEO of Sigma. Hello.
Hello.
And this is the second time that we are speaking, so it's always nice to see you. We have a few questions. You announced quite a few new lenses. Let's talk about them and more. Even before that, maybe we can start with your very big announcement. We can start with your cooperation with Panasonic and Leica that you recently announced. Can you explain when and how this project actually started?
Well, probably I remember it was about 3 years ago. Actually, at that time, we already started our own project for the full-frame mirrorless camera with a new mount with a short flange back. And at the time, we already decided to develop the forthcoming full-frame sensor. And also, we were designing our own full-frame mirrorless camera. But however, I guess it was 2 years or 2 years and a half ago, Panasonic proposed us to form an alliance for the new mirror system. And then we decided, after some consideration, we decided to discontinue our own dedicated system and join the new alliance. And then Panasonic, Leica also joined the alliance. And after some discussion, we decided to use existing Leica's L-mount system because we all agree that this could be an ideal system.
Very, very interesting. So basically, you started, Panasonic started, you joined, and then Leica joined the
I have no idea when the Leica and the Panasonic started the discussion, but for us, it was. I'm pretty sure that Panasonic made proposal to us.
Okay, very interesting. Do you have any specific role in this project, or is every company actually going to do their own lenses and their own cameras?
Basically, we do not exchange the information regarding each company's own product roadmap. There is a firewall between the three companies about that. But on the other hand, we work together to update L-mount system to have better compatibility between the products from each three companies. And also we discuss about the future specification to have the more extensibility. Okay. So that's our role, the three company role, to make the L-mount system more robust in the future.
You're going to develop, or are you going to develop basically cameras based on this? So besides lenses, you're going to make your own cameras with a Pavilion sensor?
Yes, we will release. We are now working on a new full-frame mirrorless camera, which features a Pavilion sensor. And this camera should be available next year.
Oh, that's very interesting. Is this standard going to be open like the Micro Four Thirds, or is this closed for just Panasonic, Sigma, and Leica?
At this time, this moment, it's a closed system just to three companies. But if there is some potential good business partner, maybe. So basically, it's a closed system for three companies, but it doesn't mean that we close the door completely.
You have introduced 5 new lenses, I think, here in Photokina, and 3 new cine lenses just before that in IBC. We're especially surprised by the new lens, the 60 to 600 millimeter. We don't have it in here, but we looked at it before. Do you see this lens as a new version of the 50 to 500 millimeter, the previous one that you had? And where does it stand in comparison to your existing 150 to 600 millimeter sports lens?
Yes, we did mainly 3 things. First of all, we upgraded from 50 to 500 to 60 to 600 because we knew that many customers like the focal length of 600. because we have the 150 to 600 and
Yeah.
contemporary and sport version. So we upgraded for 60 to 600. That is the first thing. The second thing, we made it for professionals. So in order to achieve the optical quality, which is usable for professionals, we achieved a very high quality. The third thing is that in order to achieve the good optical quality, this lens uses 25 glass elements, which tends to make the lens heavy. So we use many exotic high-performance material to keep the weight low. One of the examples is that special material called CFRP, which stands for carbon fiber reinforced plastic. This plastic contains the fragments of the carbon fiber, which is actually very expensive material. But by using this, we can make a very strong part by keeping the weight low.
And in comparison, in terms of your line of lenses, who do you think is going to buy the 150 to 600 sports, and who is going to buy the 60 to 600? Are they the same people or maybe different people?
We assume it's different users. So those who prioritize the quality over the size and weight, and especially they need 600 millimeter, they should use 150 to 600 sports. But those who really need the versatility, which covers a wide range of the focal lengths, they should use 60 to 600.
Okay. One question that we keep getting back from our viewers has to do with the size and weight of your full-frame lenses for Sony. They're basically larger than their equivalent lenses for your DSLR, the Nikon and Canon versions, but they're meant for smaller camera bodies. How much emphasis are you going to put in the future on those two factors, size and weight, for dedicated full-frame mirrorless cameras, Sony in particular?
Actually, we always try to make the lens body as compact as possible and as light as possible. But unfortunately, today, the optical performance and the size and weight of the lens is a trade-off. So our first priority for art line is to achieve the best optical performance, and we try to reduce the weight and size. So we always continue such effort to make the lens lightweight and compact size.
Do you think that you will have lenses for full-frame Sony cameras which you don't have for DSLRs? Currently, these are the same lines with a built-in adapter, basically.
Well, starting from next year, we will release more mirrorless lens, which is dedicatedly designed for the mirrorless camera. But if we are going to achieve the best image quality, the size and weight cannot be too much different. For example, Sony 35mm 1.4 G Master is not too compact compared to our 35mm plus adapter. But of course, it depends on the system. But basically, if you are going to achieve the best image quality, lens become bulkier. But Sigma has a different line, contemporary line. So in contemporary line, we can release the more well-balanced lenses, performance and size.
Like you did with the new 56mm f1.4, which is an APS-C lens, but it is very small and compact.
Correct. We took the balance between the performance and the size and weight.
Okay. Talking about small and lightweight lenses, the last time that we spoke, there were two years ago, I asked you about the Nikon 300mm PF lens, the f4 lens that they released. And recently they also introduced a second lens using the phase Fresnel technology, which is the 500mm f5.6, which is also relatively compact. Are you any closer to making your own phase Fresnel lenses than you were before? I think that you told me that this is going to be very expensive to make these sorts of advanced technological phase Fresnel elements into the camera.
Well, we have a great interest in the technology, and we think this is a great technology, and we are interested in those technology, but that technology, but it doesn't mean we have the specific plan to make that lens.
Okay. There are hardly any dedicated tilt shift lenses for mirrorless cameras. Now, this is a small niche, but you do have some for DSLRs on the market, and they are usually quite expensive and big and heavy, as we said. Is this something that might interest your readers based on feedback that you got from them?
Actually, I frequently have such query from the users, especially from our camera users, foveon sensor camera users. They really need a very good tilt and shift lenses. But it's just a matter of the priority. We need to run many projects, so that's the reason we haven't released such lenses.
So maybe
so
sometime in the future.
If we have enough resources, yes.
Okay. Let's go on to some other questions. Do you see Sigma releasing a dedicated lens for the Nikon Z mount and the Canon RF mounts? Or maybe since both manufacturers released good adapters, F basically, F to EF and Nikon F, Nikon Z to
F to Z.
F to Z and EF to R basically. Are you going to rely on them instead of actually releasing dedicated lenses for these new mirrorless cameras?
We have great interest in those new systems, of course, but the camera has not been released to the market yet, so we have not looked at it yet. So until we see the camera, we cannot make any decision. So we will study after the camera is released.
Okay, so that actually answers my next question, which is, did you test your lenses on both those cameras to see how well they're actually working with those new adapters? So you haven't yet?
We haven't tested yet, but according to the photographers who already been using the new cameras, I think the beta cameras, they said our lenses worked okay.
Okay,
but tomorrow, I think, the Nikon new camera starts shipping. So once the camera is available, we will do our own testing very quickly.
Okay, very interesting. Going to maybe a broader view, do you see, Nikon and Canon and Panasonic announced new full-frame mirrorless cameras in the last week, basically Panasonic just here in the show. Do you see this as a start of a new era in photography? We actually think that it is. This show is, I think, a testament to that. And do you think that the steep decline in the photography market will stop, and maybe we'll see really a new time in the photography that we didn't have until now?
I think this opened up the new era of the photography, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This kind of change or shift always happen every 20 to 30 years. 20 years ago, it was a change from film to digital. Another 20 years ago, it was a change from manual focus to autofocus. Maybe another 30 years ago, it was a change from rangefinder to SLR. So I think this is the beginning of the new era.
So you think that this is going to be a big shift in the industry, moving basically from what, DSLRs to mirrorless cameras?
I think so.
Okay, very interesting. And talking about that, currently they're still selling more DSLRs, at least last year, more DSLRs than mirrorless cameras. I think that you told me that the division now is about 65% for DSLRs and 35% for mirrorless. Do you have any prediction on when we're going to see mirrorless either surpassing DSLR or at least making, 50-50?
To be honest, I don't know. But I assume the mirrorless will be bigger within 3 years.
So that's an interesting prediction, and we'll be in Photokina to test that.
However, it doesn't mean that it changed the lens market, because in the world there are much larger DSLR users in the world. So the number of the new camera shipment maybe within 3 years, the mirrorless will be bigger than DSLR. But I don't know about what happened with the accessories, including lenses.
Yeah, because people don't change their new gear every year, so
No.
there will still be a lot of DSLR users who will continue to buy your lenses or DSLR lenses as they did before. Just
Yes.
maybe in 10 years or something like that, it will completely change. Maybe.
Yes, and I know that many people still enjoy using the DSLR.
I agree. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.